Back with some Grand Tactician Civil War CSA campaign. Right at the tail end of our last episode, Nathaniel Lyon with the Army of the West Union had come down into Arkansas and besieged Fort Smith, or the fort at Fort Smith. I think the fort actually probably has a different name, which seems odd. Seems like the fort at Fort Smith would be called Fort Smith. But it came down here, besieged this fort, which is Fort... It is Fort Smith. Okay. And Johnston Corps was there. And, I cut off the episode, but I didn't stop time running. And literally just seconds after I stopped recording, the siege was won, and Lyon has already retreated up this road. So that's that. And one thing that I realized is I brought Johnson over to Fort Smith, and I had this effort using the engineering corps to come over and establish telegraph communication in Missouri. But because Sterling Price had made progress up this line and had taken St. Louis, that engineering corps ran a line from whatever this is, Helena, to Batesville, and then up towards St. Louis. I never established telegraph connections over here to the Carrollton Fort Smith area. So I've got Johnston doubling back. He's going to put a telegraph at Little Rock, one at Fort Smith, and one up in this area, which will then connect into captured telegraph stations along this line. So he's making a short river journey back down to Little Rock, and he'll fix that up before moving up into Missouri. He's also going to have to come up here and put a supply depot at some place. Or not. There's a supply depot. We'll just see how it goes. Meanwhile, we are in April, so I think it is time for Robert E. Lee to complete occupying Maryland. Which, from the Confederate point of view, is a state that should be in the Confederacy. Maryland and Delaware. I bet a lot of people aren't aware that Delaware was a slave state. But Maryland and Delaware were slave states. I don't know if Delaware was ever close to seceding, though. Maryland was about 50-50. I've talked about that before. But in this game, I don't think you can get Maryland to actually secede and join the Confederacy. You can with Kentucky and Missouri. I don't think we can do that with Maryland, though. Well, we can certainly occupy it, and I think we're close to doing so because Army of Northern Virginia is about to move on Baltimore. We're at full green readiness on both corps, and Patterson is still estimated to have less than 20,000 men. We've already taken Fort McHenry, so we don't have any forts up here to contend with. Let's go to Baltimore. Patterson may just retreat. He may not fight. I'm going to keep them in defensive mode. Strategic, offensive, tactical, defensive. The James Longstreet way of war is something that works in this game, because you can almost always get in some way or other, you can almost always maneuver things such that the AI will attack into you when maybe they shouldn't. it works. And if I stay in defensive mode, that gives me more engineering points during the deployment phases to construct fortifications. Meanwhile, our estimates are the West Virginia force is 16,000 men within reinforcement range, so he's got about 30,000 men here. And the Army of the Ohio is still estimated to be 5,500. I guess I can move Lee too. There's really not any reason to, but why not? This will actually be Robert E. Lee's first field battle, if one occurs. He was in command for taking these... I don't know if he was here for Fort Washington. He was here for Fort McHenry. And here we go. They are going to fight. So we've got about 50,000 men and 136 guns. And... oh, we got Winfield Scott. I think he's in command of the West Virginia Militia, though, not Department of Pennsylvania. And they've got about a little over 30,000 men and 67 guns. Okay. We'll just take a quick look at the map, and then I'll put a cut in for deploying forces. 34,000 men is the estimate. These numbers are never exact for the opposition. Those are intelligence estimates. But about, we got 52,000 men to their 34,000 men. Which doesn't mean I'm just going to attack recklessly. I'd still much rather have the Union attack into me. Even with the commanding advantage, I don't want to take more casualties than I have to. Okay, defensive situation, good. One objective, owned by us, way over here, good. Do I have both corps actually on the field? I do. I did make one very small change to my Army organization. Not to doctrine or how I intend to use forces, but I had set it up, y'all have seen this, where I would have a division of regular artillery, and then I would have one horse artillery per infantry division. In any rifled guns, which were the Confederacy, so there's not very many, you know, the better guns go to the corps artillery, which is a separate division, and then I keep smoothbores in the horse artillery for kind of direct support of infantry divisions. And that is still what I'm doing. But administratively, I've put all of the artillery in the artillery divisions. And the reason I'm doing that is because these artillery divisions are all commanded by artillery officers. And the branches of these officers' backgrounds does matter. A cavalry officer enhances cavalry under his command. Artillery and infantry, same thing. Engineers give bonuses to siege warfare and entrenchment. So I thought, just from an administrative standpoint, it made sense to put all of the artillery battalions under the artillery division commander. I'm still going to use these horse artillery the same way I always have. They will be closer to the infantry divisions, using smoothbores for canister, and also because smoothbores is about all I have anyway. I think there may be like 3 rifled cannon battalions in the entire Confederate military. And the regular artillery will still function as an artillery division, kind of a grand battery. But I've just administratively made that change. And I do have both corps on the field. So, and looking at the shape of our deployment zone, we have this flat spot here, which pretty much means, and this means right along in here is where the federal deployment zone bumps up right against our own, right? There is no man's land here. If we could see it, that federal zone blue line runs right along here as well. So this entry point is where the first force is entering the battle. And I don't know which one that is. It's the Department of Pennsylvania, and the West Virginia militia is currently estimated to arrive in 12 hours. Is Patterson still in command of this force? He is. Okay. And what is the strength? 15,000 infantry, 1,900 cavalry. That's probably 1 brigade, which we can see. One, two, 3 brigades, infantry brigades in 1st Division. 3 more in 2nd Division. 2 more. So there's a total of 8 infantry brigades, 1 cavalry brigade. And looks like probably 3 or 4 artillery battalions. One of which, this one is almost certainly horse artillery. 90 men, 5 guns. Okay. So we have a couple options. We don't know where the West Virginia militia is going to enter. It's not necessarily here. It could be scheduled to arrive on an uncontrolled entry point, like here. One thing we could do is we have 2 corps, so we've got multiple cav. We could place cav here, run right up this road to capture that entry point, and another one right here to come over here and capture this one. I think I will do that. I had said in a previous episode that I'm not sure what happens if that prevents, like, let's say that Scott is scheduled to arrive via this road. If I capture that road before he can enter, does that mean he can't come on at all? Or does that mean that he has to reroute? I took a look in the manual for that, and that question is answered. It does not prevent that force from reinforcing at all, but it does reroute the force, and it does delay their entry onto the battlefield. So that's good information. So maybe Scott is scheduled to arrive this way anyway, but if he happens to be scheduled to come here or here, then first we can delay his arrival, and second, we force him to come in right the same way that Patterson does and prevent a flank attack. So I think that works. And given that we know Patterson is here, we don't really need to sit back here near the objective covering multiple routes. There are no other roads in this area where he can take an alternate route. I mean, this is his only way. So he's going to deploy right in here. And we can actually get into fighting pretty quickly. And let's take a quick look at this. Yeah. So we have a little bit of a ravine, a shallow ravine running through here where this creek is. So this is a good artillery position here. And we can put artillery up here right in this tree line, and then in front we can run some fortifications kind of along this creek. We could just use the creek itself as cover, but I think breastworks or parapets will be stronger. We can put those right behind the creek. And then I think that's the way to go. And then if he wants to try to flank us, well, that's all kinds of... Patterson is welcome to try to march his force all the way through this mess. More power to you, buddy. I think it's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go set all that up, and then I'll be back. And I think shooting is going to start pretty quickly in this one, just because of the proximity of the deployment zones. All right. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, flat spot along here means the deployment zones butt up against each other. And sure enough, I wasn't even really looking for them, but as soon as I started putting forces over here, yeah, here's Patterson's corps all drawn up right along this line. So used up not all but most of the engineering points. We've got parapets along the creek and the river here. Artillery kind of back up on the high ground. The core artillery, the two artillery divisions, are up here along this crest. Some of them are in woods. I don't know if they're actually going to get good field of view, but I mean, in this area, I didn't really know where else to put them. So, yeah, that's what we got. But most of the regular artillery is back up in here. This is a regular battalion, but it's in this corps, it's one of the direct infantry support, because these are 24-pound howitzers. And this fence kind of complicated putting a parapet through here. So these guys are in fence cover, 24-pound howitzers. If Federals come down through here, they're going to have a field day. I've kind of got Longstreet's 1st Corps over here on the right, in the little bit more open ground. I've got Daniel's division right here, front and center, and these are the red-jacketed Hall's Rifle division. So this, between that and the 24-pound howitzers, these Federals coming down, this is a heck of a kill zone right in here. But because these are breech loaders with a high rate of fire, I've positioned Barksdale's division right behind them, so that when these guys run low on ammo, which will happen a little bit quicker than with other infantry, I've got more brigades to come up and relieve them on line just for ammo reasons. I don't think these guys are going to suffer any kind of morale or casualty problems per se. And then Jackson's Corps is over here on the left. More wooded terrain, but equally strong position. I mean, if they try to come further and attack this flank, they're going to have all kinds of cohesion and fatigue problems doing that. And the right flank is a little bit kind of out in the air. It's not anchored as well, but we see Patterson's position, and if he were to start moving all the way around over this way, we'll see that happening. And we do have two kind of uncommitted divisions. Barksdale's division in the 1st Corps and Loring's division in the 2nd Corps. So if we need to extend our flank in either direction, we have the forces to do that. I mean, this is an overwhelming mismatch of both position and troops available. So I would have to screw up really, really bad to lose this battle. Meanwhile, we've got our cavalry in place to run over and capture these flank entry points to ensure that Winfield Scott does not come in a flanking position. So, great. Let's get... I'm going to start time just to enable giving orders real quick. And then let's pause again. Let's get our cavalry to these entry points. I've said this several times, but I'm giving orders directly to the brigades. Lot shorter order delay because that order will be going to Hawes directly from Ewell, not coming all the way over here from Jackson. Okay, so Hawes, may as well get his scouts out just for building XP. I don't think he really needs the vision. Come over to this point. Same thing with Stewart's Cav. I still don't have good Cav weapons for these guys. Stewart's Cav still has Springfield musketoons. Log Street's not that far away. I'll just give the order to Stewart. Come up and take that entry point, and that will prevent Scott from... Okay, and then let's get some skirms out all along the line. I don't know if skirms will be able to cross this creek to the far bank. Let's find out. I also need to give... I also need to make sure everyone's on medium range. I've got this horse artillery right in here with the infantry. I think that works. I think they both can fire if they're right on the same line. They don't block each other's LOS. Wouldn't let me... It didn't like, I drew this entrenchment across it, but it didn't... I guess it was too close to the creek right here. So... had a gap here. I just put a little breastwork a little bit back and put some horse artillery in here. And for some reason, yeah, Toombs is feuding because Toombs is a political officer. They're more prone to it. I don't care if he feuds as long as he shoots. Whatever. Yeah, and I also mentioned earlier I wasn't sure what the difference is between white and red on this feud symbol. Or gray, rather. The gray, if you see this in gray, it means that they're not disobeying the order given. They're just questioning it and maybe slower to carry it out. Whereas red means they're just disregarding the order given and are doing whatever the hell they want. Which a lot of the times, particularly for artillery, is not all that necessarily all that different from what you wanted them to do anyway. Like the big struggle with artillery is figuring out what they can see and shoot and what they can't. So if a feuding artillery officer you know, he may wind up kind of doing that job for you in that he moves to a spot where he can shoot something. So, just because they're feuding doesn't always, I mean, sometimes it does, but it doesn't always mean they're doing something bad. Okay, that'll do. And the skirms are engaging initially. I'll go back through later and make sure that they're on long range. I don't want to give both orders at once because I don't want to mess up one or the other order. Make sure that they actually register. Yeah, I don't think these skirms can go across the wider creek there. Well, maybe they can. Okay, Patterson, what are you going to do? I think Hawes actually has some decent... Yeah, Hawes has Maynards. Hawes is also going the wrong way. He's just getting turned around. He's going. Yeah, this flank division, they're already kind of turning. They are going to try to get around this way on Frost's flank. Let's just kind of move Loring a little bit over here, like so, just to be in position. Already got some engagement on the skirmish line. Okay, they're not coming straight ahead. Looks like they're trying to move to their left. In line through forest, so that'll be slow. Let's just push these skirms up a little bit to deliver flanking fire onto that movement. I don't usually like moving skirms too far away from their parent brigades. I've talked about that before. So this looks like a good opportunity. He's just putting out skirms to cover the flanks of that movement anyway. Maybe. Stewart's moving now. Hawes is almost to his objective. For some reason it's saying minor defeat. Probably just because of morale differences. Yeah, the Federals do have higher morale because we are fighting on Union territory. We do have the objective. He's going to try to attack somewhere at some point. I'm pretty confident of that. Loring is moving into his preemptive position. Are these guys actually advancing along that line? No, they're facing the other direction. Okay. I think this division is actually heading back for this ford to cross the creek. Okay, this entry point is now Confederate. So we can bring all these guys back. I'll just bring the cav back to here for now. And Stewart is almost to this entry point. Okay, I'm stepping away from the computer for just a second, but I'm going to leave it running on 1x, let all this develop. I don't think I need to move anybody real soon. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, Pender's pickets running a little low on ammo. Okay, let's pull him back. Withers' pickets are still okay. Jones is taking a little bit of resilience loss. We'll pull him back too. We did stop the federal movement, made them form up into line. Okay, Stewart has this objective. It'll take a while for the order to get to him, however, there's no time criticality. Just kind of pull him back to, yeah, something like this. Be fine. How are these pickets doing here? Yeah, they're doing alright. I haven't taken any losses at all. They could be taking cover in this creek. These skirmishers back out, fresh set. It's pretty common practice to always go around and put all your guys on long range. I do that. Other players do that. It's not necessarily always bad to do that, though. There is, within, whether it's a smoothbore, whatever the weapon is, there is an accuracy penalty in that long-range sector of the firing arc. So if you leave them on medium range, yeah, they won't shoot as far. But when they do come within that medium range, you will get higher accuracy. And so from an ammo conservation standpoint, it's not necessarily a terrible idea to leave them on medium range. I don't do that. I think a lot of other people don't do that. But there is a trade-off there. It's not... You get what I'm saying. We just have picket versus picket firing here. That's not necessarily productive. It is Hall rifles against probably, you know, muzzle loading. I mean, the Union does have Sharps rifles, and they start with a few Hall's rifles of their own. So somewhere in the Union Army, there are probably some fast-firing units as well, and we can never look and see what they are. I mean, if you went into the game files, I guess you could, but not in game. 200 to 100 so far. Let's push these guys up a little bit, get them in range. See if we can drive these skirms off. They're about out of ammo anyway. Who is this? Okay. Withers pickets need to come back in to reload on ammo. Well, feel free to fire on those guys. There you go. Okay. These pickets are getting a little close. These federal pickets are in cover and ours aren't. If I can reorient these guys to be in cover. Let's try that. I don't know if they'll actually follow that order while engaged. Okay, short range firefight here. With Hall rifles, our guys should win that, I would think. He's taking 22. Looks pretty even. Okay, those pickets are driven back. Let's see if that, taking those entry points delayed Scott's, no, doesn't seem to have had an effect. He was 12, it's 10 now, because battle's been going a couple hours. So that tells me either, most likely, he was scheduled to arrive by this same road anyway, or if he was scheduled to arrive by one of these other entry points, then the rerouting didn't really cause much delay. Or, third possibility, maybe he has to actually get to his scheduled time, and then he finds out that his way is blocked, and then he has to turn around and find another route. That's a third possibility. I don't know how the game calculates that. Either way, he is not going to be here today. He will probably arrive overnight. And there might be a day too if Patterson doesn't make an attack. Maybe he's just going to sit here. Maybe he's waiting for Patterson to come up, Scott to come up. Okay, those pickets beat feet. Jones pickets need to come back in for ammo. Okay. Looks like those, okay, these pickets are driven back. I mean, those count as routes. So he's taking a little bit of a hit from that. Not much, but some. Okay, Kershaw's pickets need to come back in for ammo, if nothing else. Sibley's, same thing. Pickets, same thing. As far as I can tell, does B even have pickets out? He does not. Get out there. I'm finding it hard to click on B's skirmishers here. They're in there, I just can't get them selected. I use the down arrow? Nope, that doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know if this artillery battalion is getting any shots sitting in the same trench. Ah, there we go. B's detachment. Let's put them along this creek over here. Gotta move these skirmishers to have a better shot at those Union pickets. If he'll actually move. Skirmishers do tend to be very unresponsive, I have found, once they're actually engaged. Maybe if I just rotate us facing. Okay, that seems to have helped a little bit. Those pickets have broken. So far it's really just a picket line battle along the edge of these woods. Okay, looks like the federal brigades are moving now. Saw a little tweak in their position. Moving forward. Moving forward, I think. They may be making a frontal assault. Which is exactly what I want them to do. I don't know if these guys have any shots at what do these firing arcs look like? I can't even see a firing arc for these. It's not displaying a firing arc at all for that. Oh. You can just barely see it right in here, and he can fire about 10 yards. Well, that sucks. What if I move him up out of the tree line? Or is his line of sight being blocked by that stupid fence and this battery? That doesn't make any sense. What about this? I mean, you know, you look at the terrain and it looks like a fantastic field of fire all through here, but then the firing arc is awful, and I completely don't understand why. This happens all the time in this game. I'm going to move this battalion over here on the other side of the fence and see if that helps. Now this battalion, okay, that apparently helped that battalion somehow. They're showing orange on their ammo, but the numbers are actually pretty good. Oh, I'll let some We need to pull some skirms in for ammo. I'll let one break. That sucks. Jones's pickets need ammo. We've got Cav moving up. The AI, for some reason, tends to lead attacks with cavalry brigades frontally a lot. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but they do. B's pickets doing some whittling down here. They're fine right where they are for the moment. Let's move McCown up closer to his battalions. Okay, I think now is the time to ensure that these brigades are on long range. B's pickets are not happy. They've taken some casualties, only 16. Let's go ahead and pull them in, though. Let's move these skirmishes over just a little bit, just to kind of cover the movement of the artillery. And then once this battalion is set up, I'll get them out of the way so they won't be blocking line of sight. If I remember to do so. If I have a bad habit of doing things like that and then forgetting to go back. Okay. This is Smith's division, Edmund Kirby Smith, with B and Sibley. And are these guys, they're firing at some, yeah, okay, they got shots, and they're firing right into this Cav brigade. Great. Set all these brigades to long range. Speed things up just a hair. Right, Smith's division is properly engaged now, including his supporting artillery. Are these guys finding shots? Doesn't look like it. Maybe they can do a bombard order right in here. That order has to come over here from the artillery commander. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to any organizational change you do. Okay. This battery up here along the crest is getting some shots. They're shooting at something. Matter of fact, let's give... That's Jackson himself there. Let's give this entire division an order to bombard that same area. Got a nice concentration of Federal troops. That makes a nice artillery target. These guys are firing now, so that bombard does seem to be the way to go. Let's move the Rockbridge artillery. Maybe they'll get a little bit better. We have shifted to minor victory. Mounting casualties probably. Yeah, 1600 to about 350. Federal morale is still significantly higher than ours for the moment. For the moment. These battalions were over here initially to help against a flank attack. That's not materializing. Let's limber them up. This guy Liddell's battalion started the battle wavering. I don't know why. I wonder if there's a tooltip for this. For some reason, he's got a fighting spirit cap at 34%, unlike the rest of the army. Maybe I need to look at this commander's attributes after the battle. Anyway, let's limber him up too. We're going to move him somewhere. I don't know where yet. Just move this battery to here. Those are just pickets here. Thomas, it's probably George Thomas. So he's got a brigade back in here somewhere. Okay, these guys aren't really moving. Alright. So that battalion is in position. So let's get these skirms out of the way and see if he's got anything to... No, he still can't see a damn thing. Let's just move him up to the creek. Maybe that'll unclear his line of sight. Or clear his line of sight. It's frustrating. How are these guys doing for casualties? Pretty good. They're doing fine so far. I don't think Stuart needs his scouts anymore. There's Wade Hampton in charge of one of Stuart's brigades. I did that at some point. I don't know if I mentioned that. Let's just move Stuart up a little bit. Let's get him across the creek over here. We're edging toward... We're not there yet, but when it does come time, I want Stuart in position. Okay, Hawes doesn't have any good terrain to come in on the flank later for pursuit. Oh, there's Lee sitting way back here. Let's get him up here. If nothing else, he'll be in position to help rally something if ever needed. Doesn't look like it. And let's, I don't even know where to put Hawes. I guess I'll move him over here with Stewart. It'd be kind of cool if there was, and you can do this on the campaign map, but it would be kind of cool if there was a way on the tactical map to transfer control of units to other senior commanders, like Chop, Hawes, and Ewell to Longstreet, or even Chop Hawes directly to Stewart's temporary command. I think that would make sense. What are these fellows doing? Okay, there's at least a division of Federal infantry coming over this way. I had been thinking about doing a flanking attack with Walker, kind of swinging him around into the Federal left. Maybe I don't need to do that. Okay, this cavalry brigade is wavering now. He's taken 1,100 casualties. How is B doing? B's doing all right. He's getting a little low on ammo, though. Let's move. I guess I didn't need to move Loring over here. Let's get Loring over here, up here, kind of, just to relieve for ammunition purposes. Let's just, I'm just going to pull B back. Just because he's low on ammo. They've done a fine job. He hasn't taken that many casualties. Still plenty of lost resilience left. He's just running low on ammo, that's all. And these fellas over here are no longer engaged. I mean, they never were, really. Actually, they're closer than Loring is. So let's take Kershaw, and we'll advance him to here, and he will take B's position in the line. And just to maintain divisional integrity, we'll put Pickett over here, right behind Sibley. They'll get there faster than Loring's guys will. What's going on here? Okay. Daniel's redcoats starting to get some engagement. They're just firing on some pickets. Oh, we had a... Okay. Patton's battalion has routed. How's this guy doing for... Well, he's getting a little toasty too. Well, I don't want him breaking. Although a defamed Robert Toombs wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. let's just go ahead and pull them back so that the route doesn't affect our own, you know. Routes can get, who is this? I'm telling you, I've said it before, but I did, you know, I did it again. Putting artillery in entrenchments, it doesn't seem to, it just seems to attract fire, and it winds up backfiring. I mean, these battalions did fire a lot, so, you know, they probably still did some good. There's Pickett. Let's just tell Kershaw to get up in this trench. And we'll back Sibley up to this position over here. And we'll just tell Pickett to get in his spot. Well, we might be about to lose daylight. Okay. Alright, so I've just kind of haven't done too much. We're basically in the same position. I didn't move any of Longstreet's guys at all. Well, I still feel like I should do something. See, like right now, it's showing that this guy's got a nice field of fire, but as soon as time starts rolling, it's going to show that he can't really see across the creek. Anyway, so over here on the left, I've just pulled Smith's division back. Smith himself was wounded, but the two brigades, they're not in terrible shape. It's just, and they did get a little bit of ammo resupply. Just, you know, they are lower on ammo than everybody else, so they're kind of in a reserve position. They could still do something in this battle if needed. I don't think it will be, really. All those little broken horse artillery and wavering, I just put them back here. They're out of the fight. These three battalions actually don't have any guns at all. And this guy was wavering the whole time anyway. Even though I don't know if he really did anything over there on the left. So I've put, I think this is... Well, where's your parent commander? Yeah, this is Frost, who I couldn't actually redeploy him, but he's coming up here. So I put Pickett and Kershaw in this position. That they relieved Smith's division. They've lost a little bit of cohesion, but as soon as time starts rolling, they should snap into this trench line. And then I took Loring's division. One of them is going to man this breastwork here, and then these other two are in position to relieve Frost's brigades if and when they run low on ammo. And actually there's some guns sitting around. I guess I could... yeah, let's tell Cabell to get these, remand these guns here that are horse artillery left behind. Alright, so those are the few small adjustments I made. We have all three cavalry brigades over here on the right. Now we were up in this region getting close to a win. However, because Scott came on the field, that greatly increased the number of troops that the Union has on the field. And so now we've flipped back here toward the middle. We're still on line for a minor victory, but there's more fighting to be done. And because these two entry points are Confederate, Scott had to deploy coming out of this route. And so there's more Union forces back up in here now than there was yesterday. So let's get time rolling. Okay. Kershaw is now in cover. Cabell is now in cover. I think you just right-click on these guns with this symbol in order to get them to man them up. I guess. Is that how that works? Yeah, there he goes. Cabell's attachment. Guns. I think Polk is still... Where's Polk? Yeah, he's still bombarding that area. That's fine. Let's get him up closer to his battalions. Failing cohesion, but I think that'll come back up. It says failing, but it's actually it's going up, not... Yeah, he's up to good now. I guess I should see if anybody is getting close to a perk. No, not yet. I need to rotate Jones. Taking some flanking fire there. I think yellow means flanking fire from the side and red is flanking fire from the rear. I think. I should look in the manual, confirm or debunk that idea. Or maybe yellow means there is an enemy unit in position to deliver flanking fire, and red means actually taking flanking fire. That's the other reasonable interpretation of those colors. I don't know which is which. Okay, this little assault has been driven back over here. 8th Brigade running. I can't imagine 2nd and 7th Brigade are going to last too long here. Move these guns just right, like so. Some guns here too. Grab those, Pickett. This guy has no shots. Well, yeah, he does. It says idle, but I just saw him shoot. He's shooting at this guy. Okay. As long as you're shooting at something. These guys back here in the tree line are finding something to fire at. Well, that guy's not. I'm not going to fiddle with it. Just ease Hawes across the creek here. And let's move Longstreet just enough where Stewart is within his command radius. His core is kind of centered over here anyway. Had him too far to the left. Second Brigade is routed. 7th can't be far behind. Jones's brigade has picked up a perk slot. I think sharpshooter for these guys. Pender. Sharpshooter. Withers still needs a little bit of... In this division, somehow Withers always winds up being the one not in position to do heavy fighting. I haven't done that on purpose. It's just always worked out that way. So I mentioned earlier about how there is an accuracy penalty at long range. And that's what that sharpshooter perk does, is it reduces that accuracy penalty. So even though the Hall's rifles aren't particularly long ranged, you know, they got the same range as the regular rifle muskets. But it's still worthwhile to have that long-range accuracy perk. Okay, I believe they are all retreating now, which means it's time for... Okay, so we're now in a situation where infantry just aren't going to be able to catch anybody and do anything worthwhile. Well, we'll still advance... Walker's division here. It's time for the Cav to get involved. Hawes isn't very big. Let's make sure the Cav commanders stay with their brigades. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Daniels, go ahead and advance your brigades across here. Frost, same thing. Okay, these units aren't broken. If Hawes just walks right up to them and engages, that might not work out that hot. They're retreating. They are low cohesion, though. Low cohesion itself doesn't reduce morale, but it does enhance morale loss from other factors. if that makes sense. We'll just go ahead and fire on these guys as they retreat, since they're taking rear fire. And that cohesion loss means they should lose morale a little bit quicker from that. And get these cavalry all engaged on this glom of Federal infantry. We'll stay mounted too. That's supposed to increase. Do I have a well, we got one brigade that's kind of lagging behind there. Try to get it so that both brigades have a full... They're not blocking each other's fire. I don't know if we're going to get minor victory here. Oh, maybe. We're pretty close. Hawes is the smallest, but he's the brigade with the high rate of fire. Keep him firing. And then once, is this McBride? Yeah, once he gets clear here. Yeah, okay. Now let's get him in here on the other flank. Okay, we've crossed the threshold into major victory now. And we've only taken 3% losses, 1,500 men, so there's no way that that can get snatched away from us. So we've got the major. It's really just now about... All I'm really doing is just kind of getting some experience for these cav brigades. That's really the only objective left. Right, Confederate major victory on the outskirts of Baltimore, which means we should start capturing the city of Baltimore here momentarily. About 1,700 casualties. It did lose some cavalry there at the end, but I think we picked up some experience. Hawes Brigade got a star. Yeah, neither of Stewart's brigades did, but they got some experience toward it. We did lose some guns from those routed horse artillery. As I've said before, I'm not. I'm still not sold on using horse artillery with the infantry. Okay, successful battle, and out we go to the campaign map. And I think that that will do for this episode. Just here right at the end, let's just make sure that we are actively capturing the city of Baltimore. So between this battle and the capture of Baltimore, that should push Union morale. I think we were at 34, so probably 32. Maybe even 31. Patton got defamed. I think that's a historical character. I don't know if that is the World War II general's father or grandfather. And then a General Wool on the Union side got defamed. Yeah, I don't think we're quite close enough to capture Baltimore yet, but we'll move right up on it as Patterson retreats. And that will do for this episode. Thank you very much for watching.